Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm JRaf and I'm sure you're probably a little surprised. You're used to seeing just my hands and seeing me do budgeting, planning, cash enveloping videos.
But you know what?
There's something I've been really wanting to do for a while, and so I decided, you know what? Let's just do it. So I'm going to be showing all of you guys
My toxic relationship
with Lifetime movies. And yes, they're trash, but they're delicious trash that I will be sharing with you guys while I put my makeup on. So yes, there's a purpose to looking this dead. So I think it's gonna be fun. Dive in with me once a week now for us to talk about a new Lifetime movie. And so let's get into it. So this week I am going to be talking about the Lifetime movie called Midwife's Deception. I was super duper excited to watch this movie because I just had a baby 8 weeks ago, and so I thought, you know what, let's watch a movie about more babies and more doulas and midwives and things like that. I didn't have a midwife, but I did have a doula. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun. So in this movie by Lifetime, we are seeing the opening credits, and in it we hear three gunshots, and then all we see is a crib and a teddy bear. So perfect Lifetime fashion. We are able to deduct that we are watching the end of the movie. Classic Lifetime. And so after that, we see this beautiful home. That wasn't me, that was my newborn that farted, if you could hear that. Very exciting. Yep, he's very good at that. So in the opening, we meet our main character, Sarah, and her husband, Danny. I think it's Danny. I never really learned his name. I don't know. I didn't care enough. But we see that they are talking about how she has a doctor's appointment and all of that. And they're in the nursery talking about how nice it is that Danny's mom left them the house that they're in. And they are in Kentucky and they just moved from LA. Unfortunately, Danny's mom passed away, that's why they're there. But they're very excited to start their new family here. We can see from the very beginning, Danny is a super nice husband. He cares a lot about Sarah's health, and she's just very pregnant and just such a sweetie pie. So we can see they're talking about appointments and things like that. What am I talking about? Sarah goes to this doctor's appointment that day, and she's talking to her doctor just outside. Everything looks good. She had some heartburn, things like that. And then we get some cute, ominous music. We see our bad guy walk past the doctor, say hello. He says hello, and pretty much that's it for that exchange. So Sarah is totally fine. They talk about, just don't eat lasagna, things like that. And so Sarah leaves the doctor's appointment, goes outside, and drops a piece of paper and struggles really hard to pick up this paper. Now again, I was pregnant 8 weeks ago, very pregnant. It's not that hard to pick something up off the ground, okay? She makes it seem very impossible. You can pick stuff up off the ground. It's not that bad, but I digress. Then we see our bad guy, which we find out she is a midwife while talking with Sarah. And so they're talking, and she shows Sarah some acupuncture points on her wrist. And so with that, she all of a sudden doesn't have any nausea anymore, feels great. She's like, girl, let's go to lunch. All right, easy peasy. We follow our wonderful Sarah to a cafe that she hasn't tried, because mind you, this is a new place that they just moved to. While at this cafe, The hostess is so sweet. We found out her name is Allie, and she actually knows Danny's mom really well. She mentions how she would go to the cafe on a regular basis and order the same thing. Then she says, because of that, how about I bring some on the house to you guys? And Sarah's like, totally, yeah, just being a total sweetheart like she is. And this midwife, which I don't learn her name until, honestly, way later. The whole entire time I was writing notes, I was just calling her the midwife. Gina, her name's Gina. Gina immediately says, oh, maybe that's not a good idea because of your heartburn. And that could be a totally normal midwife thing to say. But maybe just me being me and me knowing when you're pregnant and you want something, having someone tell you no before they really know you, I wouldn't like that very much. I don't know. I just thought, let her enjoy it. If she wants to enjoy it, let her enjoy it. We all got Tums. We all know Tums work fantastic. Anyways, that was the first thing that seemed kind of weird. But Sarah, being the sweet person that she is, she's like, you're right. I'll just get a salad. And they bring up sweet tea in this movie a lot. Anyway, she says, I don't want sweet tea. Don't want the caffeine. Don't want the sugar. Okay. So Allie, super nice, goes and gets them their food. And before she leaves, she does mention that there is a kind of mommy meetup at that cafe every week, and invites her to it and says, you should totally come to the cafe, get to meet all the other moms. And the doula's like, yeah, absolutely, blah, blah, you should. And so she mentions that to Sarah, and Sarah says, okay, sure, I'll come. Anyways, fast forward, after all of that, her and Sarah, okay. And then, now hostess leaves, Allie's gone, and Sarah and Gina are talking. And she mentions how she moved from LA, she needs to study for the bar because she used to be a lawyer down there. And she brings up how her and her mom did not have a good relationship. And so she doesn't do social media, likes to be out there. That's why it meant so much to her knowing Danny's mom, because he was like her mom. So she played a really big part in her life. Later on, we are seeing that they went back to Sarah's place and they're on the couch talking. Sarah gives her a glass of wine, which of course she doesn't get for herself because she's very pregnant. And then we see that Gina tries to take a picture of Sarah. Sarah, again, kind of talking about how she doesn't have social media, doesn't like pictures taken of her. She says, oh, that's my baby. Okay. Being that she doesn't like having pictures taken of her due to not having social media, she says, no, thank you, don't post it. And so she says it twice. Please don't post it. And Gina says, okay, don't worry, totally get it. However, you should still take pictures, even though you're not posting it, which of course you could take pictures without having social media. It doesn't mean that you never have pictures taken of yourself. So she's like, your daughter Eloise is the name they chose for her, wants to be able to look back and see how beautiful her mom is while she was pregnant. And makes total sense. Sarah's like, oh, you know what? Good point. All right, let's take a picture. And for some reason, Gina says, okay, hold my drink, and gives it to her instead of putting it on the coffee table, and takes a picture of Sarah holding the wine glass kind of close to her face, like she's having fun. That's what she tells her to act like. And, I don't know if I just watched too many Lifetime movies or something like that, but do not let strangers take pictures of you holding alcoholic drinks while you're pregnant, or cigarettes, or anything. Personally, I just feel like they can only be used for bad. But, you know, Sarah lets her do this. And so they take the picture, they, you know, are having fun or whatever. Again, Sarah says, don't post that. She says, no problem. And Denny comes home. So Denny comes home and Gina says, okay, I'll say my goodbyes. I'll talk to you later. And of course, in Lifetime fashion, Sarah says, no, please stay for dinner. And Danny is in on it because he's a good husband and supports Sarah very, very much. So cut to them having lasagna that Gina brought. And as they are talking, Gina reveals that she used to be pregnant and she gave birth to a stillborn. Also, while revealing this information, she basically says she's not with her husband anymore. And then she was staying with her mom, but she had a really bad relationship with her mom. And so now she's saving up to, I don't know, buy a place, rent a place. I never really caught that. But she doesn't have quite enough money yet because they do live in a small town in Kentucky. And so being used as a midwife, she doesn't get many clients. And so she is living in a hotel right now. And hearing this, Sarah admits that she also had a bad time with her mom, that her mom took out credit cards in her name and messed up her credit, so they don't talk anymore either. And then she also admits that they had a few miscarriages before this pregnancy. So now we start to see why Danny is so concerned with their health, being, you know, how many babies they had lost in the past. With this, she looks over at Danny and Danny says, does this little head shake? And so because at the beginning of the movie, they talked about how much space and how big this house is, Sarah invites Gina to just stay at the house with them until she's able to get on her feet, finish up saving for her house, rent, whatever, and just be with them. Especially since she is her midwife anyways, that just kind of helps. And Gina mentions that she's going to give her a big discount, so it's kind of like repayment for that. Gina accepts. Everything seems honky-dory, and they're having a good time. And then, after this, we see that Gina has actually given Sarah this really nice, like, candle holder with a candle. Says it's supposed to increase the flames of passion. And she says something that isn't a big deal, but I just find it interesting. She says, this candle's supposed to help with passion because while being pregnant, you've gained weight and have stretch marks, so it's hard to be sexy. I think it should say you don't feel attractive if you want to say, but don't say it's hard to be attractive. I just thought that's kind of messed up. First off, not that big a deal. I was emotional a little bit when I was pregnant. I probably would have been like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? It's hard to be attractive. No, it's hard to feel attractive. Anyways, neither here nor there. So that night after they talk with her about her staying with them, we cut to them being in their bedroom, trying to have some happy husband-wife time. And of course, Gina's able to see this because, Lord and behold, there was a camera in the candle holder, which, cochina, that's nasty. Why are you trying to see that? Anyways, nothing happens because Sarah says it is super duper hot in the house. And she asks Danny, she's like, did you raise the temperature? And he says, no. She's like, you know. And he says, okay, by 1 or 2 degrees. And she's like, ugh, nicely, but ugh. And I totally get it, because when I was pregnant, room had to be at like 62 degrees or I was sweating. So I get why she's that upset about just a few degrees. And so we see the next day, her and Danny are talking. And what do we see? We see Gina come and sneak. And she is raising the temperature from, I think it was like 75 to 90 degrees. 90 degrees. That is so hot for even a regular person. Like me not being pregnant, 90 degrees is a lot going on. But now being pregnant, terrible. But see, the funny thing is we never actually see this mentioned ever again. Never talked about. We don't see her sweating. We don't see Sarah complaining. We don't see any of this. So don't know the purpose of that, but we saw that. And just the imagination of how uncomfortable that was is enough to make me also very uncomfortable. So next thing you know, we're past all that. After this, we do see that Sarah, is having her baby shower at the cafe that Allie owns. Now, after this, we did see at one point in the movie some of the women that were in the Mommy and Me class, and they are so mean. So mean. Oh my goodness. Like one girl pretends like she's never heard of quinoa, and another girl's like, kale? What? Who doesn't know what quinoa and kale is? I mean, they're like, oh, your Los Angeles LA salad. Oh, anyways, side note, that was just weird. Anyways, the main girl who kind of organizes the whole mommy kind of meetup is not very nice. She's actually quite rude. You can see that she's just kind of trying to start drama the whole time. But, you know, that's totally fine. You see that every now and then. She mentions how Allie, the really nice hostess, actually used to date Danny back in high school. Now, Allie's super nice. She just kind of mentions like, it was just 2 months. No biggie. And that's kind of what high school relationships are. I mean, who cares? This woman is married and has a baby on the way with this man. I don't think she cares about a little fling he had in high school. But this whole thing ends, and you can see that when Kelly mentions that Allie, used to date Danny, we see, for some reason, Gina's face gets really weird. Like, she cares more about that than Sarah ever did. And so she looks a little funny, does kind of this weird face, and then, you know, kind of just goes by it again or whatever. And so the rest of the baby shower keeps on going, but we clock that interaction. After that, Danny comes in after the whole baby shower, there to help kind of grab some of the gifts, bring the gifts into the car, and of course Gina offers to also help. She's helping, and so does Allie, and we can tell Gina tries to kind of stop that and nip that in the bud, and Allie is so nice. She's like, no, let me help, whatever. They're packing stuff into the car, and Allie helps put some stuff into the back of Gina's car, because seems like all 4 of them are going to be going back to Sarah's place and, I don't know, have drinks or dinner or a snack or whatever. And so when Allie is helping put stuff in the back of Gina's car, it's just them 2 together, and really slyly, Gina asks for the number of Allie. And so Allie's like, oh, I know how to get to their house. Don't worry, I'll meet you there. I, knew these kids, a small town. I know the mom's house. I'll get there. And Gina insists. She's like, no, give me your number just in case. It's good for me to have. And so Allie just says, okay, so she writes her phone number on a napkin with a marker that Gina gives her. And so writes it down and heads on out. And all she writes is Allie, phone number. The smartest scheme I have ever seen. Never saw this in a Lifetime movie, but it's genius if you're trying to break someone up. She, with the same pen that she gave Allie to write her phone number with, puts a heart next to her name. And when they get back to the house, she stuffs that napkin into a pair of Danny's pants.
You what?
In the laundry room. Diabolical. Genius, though. Never seen that done. Never would have thought of that. Also because I'm not a psychopath. But very unique, very unique. Then we see they have this exchange where they're kind of talking about Gina's midwifery, and seems all nice. And Gina is getting visibly upset. I mean, I think it's visibly upset. I don't know how no one else is noticing this. Because Allie is asking tons of questions about, how safe is it really to have a home birth? And she starts asking, like, well, what if there is a problem? What if, bleeding, hemorrhaging, all these really good questions that I feel like a midwife would not have that big of a problem answering. So, yes, it's not that big a deal, but I think we are starting to notice that most people don't really want Sarah to have a home birth. Sarah really wants to, but her husband doesn't want her to, and now Allie's kind of bringing up some really good points about safety-wise, and Allie asks her, like, are you a doctor? What if these things happen? And what's interesting is Gina never answers any of those questions and those concerns. She just says, I'm trained to deal with that. That would be a problem for me if I had a midwife. If I ask these questions and they say, I'm trained to deal with it. Well, what happens? How are you trained? What are you going to do about it? Never gets answered. And Sarah's super nice about it, so she even kind of laughs it off. She's like, I'm not trying to make things difficult. I'm just really curious. And those are all very, very good questions. Again, none of which get answered. And then that's when she goes up and sticks Allie's number in Danny's pants. With this information, we do see eventually Allie go into her car so that she can go home, which people eventually do. And Gina goes to her front on the passenger side of her car and basically says, like, can I talk to you, blah blah. And Allie says, yeah, come on in, invites her inside the car, and Gina goes in, and Allie admits to her that I know what you're doing, basically. Like, you are sketchy. You are super sketchy, and Sarah doesn't see it because she's so nice, but I see it. I see it. And then Gina says, well, I get that you see that. And basically says, yeah, I'm just, just trying to steal her baby. And then Sarah's like, what? Huh? Not Sarah. Allie. She's like, yep. My game here, or the only thing I'm trying to do, she admits, is to steal their baby so I can have it. And, if someone reveals to you an evil plot like that, I would assume I am not going to live for very long. Then we see Allie starts feeling a little weird, starts saying kind of like, what did you do? And unfortunately, Gina admits that she poisoned her. And then she's kind of like losing a little bit. And then instead of just kind of letting her die from poison, she suffocates her with like a bobbit, like one of those baby things that you put right under your chest to breastfeed. Yep, suffocates her with that. Unfortunately, Allie's dead. The next day, Sarah runs into her doctor when she's going to go to Allie's cafe. And her doctor basically is saying, well, oh, you're gonna do a home birth, blah, 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 because you have a midwife. And then she says, oh yeah, so my midwife is Gina. You probably know her. And he says, oh, I don't know who that is. Now, here's an interesting thing. She mentions, oh, I thought you knew her because, you know, you said hi to her at the hospital. And he said, oh, well, as a doctor, I just say hi to everybody. Good point. But here's something curious. So he says he's never met Gina. However, you know, he says, oh yeah, it's a big hospital. You know, I just might not have ever gotten to, you know, meet her or whatever. I thought, so, okay, let me bring up a point. Let me just bring up a point here really quick. My doula, when I went to go give birth at the birth center, everyone knew my doula. And it's a big hospital, but yet everybody knew her in my room. From nurses to doctor to everybody. They had met her. Even to the receptionist knew who my doula was. So, I would imagine in what they have mentioned is a small town that the doctor would absolutely know the doula. Is that weird to assume? I don't know. I feel like it really shouldn't be. That should be a red flag. If your doctor does not know your doula who was in the hospital that your doctor was in, that seems like a problem. Never comes up. I don't know if that means she isn't really a doula, but she did know a lot of information, so maybe she is. And I don't know what to make with that. But to me, seems like a red flag, because your doctor should probably know your doula if they've been in the field for a while. But anyways, after that conversation, she texts Allie. Allie says she is out of town for a family emergency. So she can assume that she will not be seeing her at the coffee shop that day. We see, after having this conversation with her doctor, that night, her and Danny get into a bit of an argument. So Danny's coming home from work late. He's working hard. She had already previously found Allie's number in his pants pocket, which we had already seen was planted by Gina. So we can see that Sarah, though she doesn't mention this, has kind of already had seeds of doubt of her husband's faithfulness put into her head. So they're arguing, they're yelling, and so he says he's just gonna go take a walk. When he says that, he means take a walk downstairs to the fridge, and that's kind of it. So he goes downstairs, goes in the fridge, grabs a beer, takes like one sip, little 2 sippies of that thing, and he is kind of leaning on his counter, looks and sees Gina in like a silk gown, her hair done, her makeup done, kind of sliding in. And men, if you see that, red flag. leave. Take your butt and leave. Because girls don't do that for nothing, okay? It's no es para nada that they do that. So he, for some reason, just stays there. And Gina starts talking about how she wants him and Sarah to go to like a Lamaze class, blah, 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 as she's getting closer to him. And she says basically how, oh, let me kind of show you a move that you would do in Lamaze. No, obviously problem. So she says this will make you feel more comfortable, this will be a good idea. And so what does she do? She takes his hands, goes in front of him, puts his hands on her lower belly, okay? Which if you're pregnant, makes sense. And she's like, just put your hands there and feel her breathe. She's like, let your breath become one with each other, blah, blah, blah. Girl, stop touching that man. Stop touching that man. And what does he do? He does it. He touches her belly. Okay, I know you ain't drunk. You took one sip of a beer. That's probably 2% alcohol. These lifetime husbands are idiots. After this, after like a weird minute of him holding her belly and them breathing, just breathing, nothing weird. I mean, that's super weird, but nothing inappropriate. It clicks in his man brain what's kind of happening. So he's like, oh, okay, thanks. See you later. And he finally leaves. I can't talk and do this at the same time. He goes back upstairs and I don't know if she's sleeping or what. The next morning, I think it's the next morning, Danny and Sarah are in the nursery and they're kind of sitting apart from each other. And Danny apologizes. They make up. So she goes downstairs where Gina is making her breakfast and cutting up some strawberries in the kitchen. And she says, hey, would you like some oatmeal? Sarah says, yes. She's like, oh, by the way, just so you know, we decided we are going to go to the hospital for the birth. Then what do we see? We see Gina slam the knife on the cutting board and stop cutting in silence while her back is towards Sarah. I don't know if Sarah has an inability to understand certain movements equal certain emotions. But if I saw that, I would kind of know somebody's kind of upset. I would get that. She's just a hunky-dory golden retriever Sarah in the back like, thanks for understanding. When we could see she's not understanding. She's very upset. Gina's very upset about this because all she wants is to have a home birth. I can only assume because she mentioned she wants the baby, so that would be a lot harder to steal a baby from a hospital than in the home. So she says, of course, I'll bring you your oatmeal. Why don't you go sit on the couch? So while on the couch, we see Gina is powdering up this giant horse pill in the kitchen and puts it inside of Sarah's bowl of oatmeal. So don't know what this pill is, but hold on here. Gives her the poisoned oatmeal, which I thought was a sleeping pill, not a sleeping pill. Looks like it is actually something that causes Sarah to have contractions, real contractions. So Gina, pretending to be the midwife that she is, says, uh-oh, let's go upstairs, put you in the bed. And she calls her doctor, and then on the phone with her, walks into the hallway. Guess what? This girl didn't call the doctor. She was just pretending. She puts the phone down like a psychopath and starts talking to nothing just to make it sound like she's talking to somebody. And so we realize, obviously, something's wrong. Never calls the doctor, and she ends up going back in and telling Sarah that the doctor said for her to go on bed rest, which I would imagine absolutely terrible to have to go on bed rest. And Sarah feels the same way. She is not excited about it, but she says, okay, let's do bed rest. And we get a little montage of her in the bed, and she's in there like studying for her bar exam, which you think would come up more that she's a lawyer. It doesn't. It doesn't come up really, except for that one part. We see her talking, or not talking, laughing at her phone because she's like, oh, what is that? What is that? And why is it at the bottom of this thing? Okay. Don't know what that dark stuff is. All right. Weird. Okay. So while she is on the bed, she decides to give Kelly a call. She calls Kelly, if you remember, the mean lady from the mommy thingamabobby, and she tells her, oh, sorry, I haven't been to any of the mommy events or lunches or whatever. I got told I have to, unfortunately, be on bed rest. And Kelly's like, sounds nice, giving her sass already. And she's like, it's not nice, but yeah, okay. She's like, I was thinking if, because I'm on bed rest, what if we do the next mommy lunch at my place, and I'll order stuff. We could do it here. And Kelly very rudely says, nope, we already have the next lunches already scheduled. All right, bye. And so I was like, whoa, wait a second. Did I do something to upset you? Because you're being rude right now. She didn't say that. I am. So what's going on? And Kelly's like, I don't like being made a fool. I'm being treated like an idiot. And of course I was like, what are you talking about? What's going on here? And she says, you try to act all high and mighty, not having sweet tea. Again, the sweet tea thing just gets brought up all the time. Anyways, she's saying, you act all high and mighty, not having iced tea, not taking Tylenol, which I get. I didn't do that. I mean, probably would have still had iced tea, but I also didn't have Tylenol. She's like, but in reality, you are drinking alcohol while pregnant. I should call the CDC. And she's like, whoa, what do you mean? She's like, no, I saw pictures of you on Facebook drinking alcohol. I don't want anything to do with you. And then hangs up. Now, keep in mind, the only person who has been taking pictures of her this whole time has been Gina. Just Gina. And so she goes online and finds the very pictures that Gina took. So there is no way that that wouldn't be her. So she sees him, and Gina walks in at that moment. She's like, hey, you seem guilty. Weird thing to say, but okay. And Sarah does an amazing job of pretending that everything's fine. As she's looking at these pictures, knowing that Gina has completely betrayed her trust, right? So, she's like, oh, nothing, just looking up breastfeeding videos, whatever. She's like, oh, okay, great. Here is a boppy, the thing they breastfeed on, the very one she suffocated Allie with, and then gives it to her. And she's like, oh, thanks. Okay. And then Gina leaves, and she starts realizing something is very, very much up. So Gina had given her a necklace, and she keeps the necklace in the company she bought it from, and she decided to call this company. And she's like, can you tell me what the name on the card is on this purchase? Because she had just tried to look up Gina online and could not find her social media anywhere or anything about her being a midwife. So she gets the name, and the name is Laura. And she's like, that's weird. So she texts Allie, her dead friend Allie, and says, hey, you know how Gina's the one who did my baby shower. Can you do me a favor and see what name is on the card she used? She gets a text back saying, don't worry about it, Gina's awesome. Smiley face. Now, beginning of this movie, Allie gave her number and said, I hate emojis. Do not use them when you text me. So she knows something's up, sends, you're right, she is, and leaves it at that. And she gets sent 3 more emojis from Allie. She knows something's wrong. After this, after she realizes that that is not Allie she is texting, she goes online and searches the name that the woman from the company who Gina bought the necklace from said, and looked her up online. She finds Gina, now Laura, and sees pictures that Gina, has taken of her nursery and her ultrasounds, saying they are hers and how she is expecting her baby soon. Red flags everywhere. So now she realizes something's happening. She tries to text Danny, and text isn't going through. Then she tries to call on the landline. Landline is cut. She goes on the internet again, where she was just on, where she found the information on Gina Laura, and it says you are no longer connected to the internet. So something, obviously Laura has not only disconnected the internet, but has also cut the landline. Now, the only thing that I find super weird about this is that she tries to text Danny on her phone, and it does not go through. Now, I know if you don't have internet, some texts won't go through, okay? I get that. But that's not the only thing your phone relies on. She has service, so it would at least send it as a text message, but I guess it doesn't. She goes down the stairs really sneakily, and then she passes out. I am not quite sure why, but she does. She passes out, and right before she completely goes out, there is Gina telling her she shouldn't have gone down the stairs. So next thing you know, she wakes up, and she is on the couch, and in front of her is a pool, presumably to give birth in. She is having contractions. And Laura is admitting to Sarah that Sarah is weak and that it would be a disservice for her daughter to be born to her and raised by weak parents. So she should be the one to take and raise her. All doing this while she is kind of prepping the area for birth, prepping the water in the tub, and putting some newspapers on the floor as well. She does say that she plans on killing both her and Danny, that she thought about keeping Danny because he must like her, but in the end she decided no, it's okay, she'll kill him too. Clean slate that way. So all the while Sarah is having tons of contractions, really starting labor now, and then we see Danny come in all excited because he knows she's about to go into birth. Sarah from the couch says, "Did you call the police?" And what happens to this grown man? He gets knocked out with a baseball bat from behind. Classic Lifetime. And then Gina says she's going to burn down the house after she gives birth, and make it look like Sarah, Danny, and the baby are in it. But really, she's going to take the baby. Sarah then pretends to have a contraction, having Gina go out of the room. And in the secret, she grabs some kind of what we thought was a weapon. Turns out it was a cooking spice, and makes her way down the porch under the stairs. So I will say, I made it to 8 centimeters before I got the epidural. And those things, you ain't like running downstairs the way you'd probably like to in this situation. But she does. Runs down the stairs, and Gina pops out under the stairs, finds her, but she throws, who knows, paprika, chili powder. She throws something, Italian spice, into her eyeballs. Gina gets surprised by that, Laura, and kind of stumbles back while Sarah is too many names. Sarah is able to run into the woods. Oh, man. They're in the woods. They basically are just having this conversation while Sarah is just getting contraction after contraction, all while just trying not to be found. Later, as they're talking, we see a light go off in the house. And Gina sees this, Laura, and so she goes inside and sees that our lovely spouse here, Danny, has crawled his way up the stairs. Don't know where the porch light comes into play from all that, but he's up there. And as he's crawling up there, Gina is saying how Sarah left him, see how she's weak, blah, blah, blah. And they are slowly going up the stairs, and Gina kicks over a bucket of gasoline that she then lights on fire downstairs. Then she follows Danny up the stairs, where she says, "I know you got a gun, but you can't get to it because I'ma flatline you before you get there." So still crawls. She is about to, what I think is like, beat him with the baseball bat. And he says, wait. And she's like, "Oh, how cute, you're like begging for your life." And he says, "No, I just want to get out the way." Realize, because he does not trust his wife's aim, because she turns around and there is our Sarah with the gun. And I don't know how she got there before Gina, because she's also supposedly contracting, and if she's as far along as they're making it seem like she is, she isn't hunching over with a contraction at any point. So I don't know how this is really realistic, because I thought she was in labor and it doesn't seem like she's really contracting as much, but you know, sure, okay. And she shoots her. She shoots Laura Gina, whatever, twice, and as they're about to leave, she looks back at where Gina is and walks towards her, but past her, and picks up what was Danny's old teddy bear. Picks up his teddy bear out of the nursery and takes it, leaving Gina there. So this house is going up in flames, and they go outside, and they finally make it out of this house, look back, and now keep in mind, Gina was just shot twice, okay? Just shot twice. She is standing there at the door, like totally fine, looking at him. 2 pew, pew, wounds pew, in the chest. Unfazed. This woman is miraculous. She should, I don't know, be a weapon for the US, because she is not fazed at all that she is losing blood and has 2 pieces of metal in her body. And she turns around, looks at them, walks right into the house that is on fire. Weird choice, but yeah, sure. She does that, and as we see her go into that, Danny says, "We have lost everything." Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Why do you care right now that your house is burning down when you both almost got murdered by some crazy person, and your wife is in labor, and all of this is, your wife shot someone. Your wife just shot someone, and you're talking about how you lost everything? You know, I don't know. I've never personally been in this situation, but I feel like there are better things to say than that. I feel like there is. But okay. And Sarah so graciously reminds him, no, we haven't. We haven't lost everything. And hopefully she's talking about the baby, because I don't think he realizes anything about anything, really. So, after that, it is credits. And wow. Okay, so I did my lashes off camera, but so we are at the end of our movie, and you know, we didn't really get a lot of closure. We didn't get to see her give birth, even though she was just about to, and we didn't even get to see her have any more contractions while they were talking outside, so I'm not quite sure. Is she still in labor? I don't know. I don't really know how it ends. All I know is she didn't get her baby stolen, which is good news. You know? Can't be mad at that, at a happy ending like that. I don't know. Just wish there was a little bit more to it. But overall, movie was good. I love the Lifetime movies. And I like that there are so many discrepancies in kind of like their storyline, and kind of like plot holes, I guess, is what you would kind of call them. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I liked it. Anytime there was either doctors, teachers, or surrogates, or anything involving babies, those are my favorite kind of Lifetime movies. So it was new, and it was new. It taught me the napkin trick. That was genius. But that's where we ended there. And I am all done with my makeup here. Putting on a little lip gloss, and then I am done. There you go. We're all good. So it was pretty nice. I had a lot of fun. It was just fun doing my makeup and chatting with you guys. If you like these videos, let me know. Even if you don't, I am still gonna do them. So if you like this kind of video, join me next week. I'm gonna be watching Lethal Admirer from Lifetime as well, obviously. Love Lifetime. I think it would be very rare that I don't. So I will call it my Lifetime Movie Monday, but sometimes it might not be Lifetime. Next Monday it is. So hopefully you enjoy. Join me again. I will also be doing finance videos where I also do my makeup, talking about it. So join me the rest of the week for that as well. Thanks so much. Bye.